Hello and welcome to episode 25 of Surrey Build Weekly. This week we have begun 2 new projects in Guildford, one being an extension to increase the living space with a nice kitchen diner, utility and pantry, and the other being a loft conversion over a bungalow in Guildford where we will be adding 2 new bedrooms and an ensuite with utility cupboard. Thought this would be a really good opportunity to talk about the pros and cons of a loft versus extension, which might help if you are considering either or both. So first and foremost, the most important thing is the cost. Average loft conversion of, say, a 3-bedroom semi-detached property to have a rear dormer is going to set you back around 65 to 70k. You can go for a Velux, which will be slightly less, around 55 grand. This particular project is over a bungalow, so we're covering a larger footprint. So the cost can go up to anywhere around 100 grand. Now, loft conversion, you'll be pleased to know, is a very quick process. An average rear dormer is around 6 weeks, so we are in and out in no time at all. So with a loft conversion, we are not increasing the property footprint, we are working with what we have existing. We generally would add additional bedrooms to a loft conversion, maybe a nice master suite with dressing room, bedroom and ensuite. There are other uses for loft conversions, such as cinema rooms, playrooms, home offices, but generally we see the majority of our clients wanting to add additional bedrooms. So a lot of people, when they first come to us, the big question for them is, am I going to get the space I need from a loft conversion? As a rule of thumb, I would say we are going to recreate a floor space of around 2/3 of the existing first floor space. So you are generally going to get a really decent sized bedroom and ensuite, if not be able to add additional studies and dressing rooms. Having a loft conversion is a perfect solution for those families who need additional bedrooms but don't want to have the additional cost of moving home with stamp duty and solicitor fees. Some key factors to consider if you're thinking about having a loft conversion is, firstly, do you have enough head height? You need to begin with a head height from the ridge beam, which is the beam that runs along the top of the roof, to the floor joists of around 2.3 metres. You're going to lose about 300 mil on the build-up and the stills. So in order for it to be a habitable space that's signed off by building regs, we need to end up with a space of at least 2 metres. Now, 2 metres isn't a huge amount. The majority of lofts that we build have got much greater head height, but there are some cases where we don't have enough head height, and then we need to think about going in for full planning to raise the ridge height. Now, they are quite tricky applications to get approved. Something else to consider in terms of planning is, if you're living in a new build, you might not have permitted development rights, or they might have been removed for a period of a time, say around 5 years. So it's always a good idea to speak to a design and build loft conversion specialist company to really get a good idea of what is possible and what's not right from the get-go. So now we've covered the pros and cons of a loft conversion, let's move to our other new project in Guildford, which is an extension, and talk about that. And welcome here to Asherden, our latest project. This isn't a loft, this is a single-storey wraparound extension. I'm going to talk a bit about the project and talk about pros and cons of an extension versus a loft conversion. So, what does an extension cost? We have a rule of thumb whereby you would give around £2,500 to £3,000 per square metre. The majority of the cost of an extension lays within the excavation works. You need to make sure you have a decent contingency when you are embarking on an extension project, because we are obviously digging and we don't know what we are going to uncover. Sometimes there's old gas pipes, there's old sewerage pipes, and we have to bear in mind that there might be some costs that the client hadn't at first anticipated. On top of the unknown works that might come from excavation, most projects will involve some kind of drainage moving with sewer or wastewater or even the rainwater drainage. So an extension is usually used to increase the living space as opposed to bedrooms. So they tend to be for nice open plan kitchen diners, maybe the addition of a utility, generally increasing the square footage of a property, which is going to boost its value as well as make it more desirable when you come to resell. A well-designed extension can improve the energy efficiency performance of your home. We obviously install great insulation, really good window solutions and energy efficient heating solutions such as underfloor heating, which is a really popular choice at the moment. Thinking about the two most recent extensions that we've completed, the first one being Hurst Road. Hurst Road extension enabled us to create a really spectacular open plan living space with kitchen, diner and lounge. We were then also able to add a snuck/playroom, which was part of the previous garage, and then add a really useful space for a utility that had a dog shower in, as they had just got a new puppy. Then we think about the mount. The mount was a smaller plot of land. It was narrow, so we pushed out that quite small kitchen and made a really nice open plan kitchen diner, and then we did a little bit of reconfiguration inside to create a utility cupboard and a little bit of a playroom for the kids. So overall, extensions are great for future-proofing your home and allowing it to accommodate your growing family. They're also really good for making your home more energy efficient, as the insulation will definitely improve the performance of the entire property. The key elements to consider when you're doing an extension is firstly key budget. You have to have a good contingencies to cover any unforeseen eventualities. You have to consider planning. There are different avenues to go for planning, so you need to have a good architect on board who knows their stuff, and then you need to think about the loss of garden and how that is going to impact the property. There's no point having a huge living space if you don't have a garden. That's also going to affect planning, as it probably wouldn't be approved. So we've gone over the pros and cons for an extension versus a loft. There's lots of things to consider, but how do they compare? So, in a nutshell, an extension is going to cost more money. You are going to have more flexibility in terms of design, but you will need a decent contingency. You're going to be improving the quality of life for your family by gaining additional living space, whereas with a loft, you're going to be dictated by the existing footprint of the property. You're generally going to gain more bedrooms, maybe an ensuite, maybe a playroom or a cinema room, but you will be more restricted to the design. So I hope you have enjoyed this episode of Extension vs Loft Conversion, and if you are considering embarking on either, the information has been helpful to you. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, and if you want to see more, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.